Groom told the bride he's not sure if he wants to be married to her at their wedding.
All right.
Was just a maid of honor in a wedding that ended in an absolute shit show and have to tell someone about it because I don't even know what to do or if I should do anything about this. I'm at a total loss.
This was a first for me.
My childhood friend was getting married today to her high school sweetheart. The wedding was a long time coming. They've been together for 6.5 years and share a 2-year-old son together. They've been engaged for 3 years now because they delayed planning the wedding after she unexpectedly got pregnant with their son. So now the wedding was finally here. Earlier this year, she set a date and started planning. I was engaged myself this year and got married in July, and originally was just supposed to be a regular bridesmaid. The bride's sister was supposed to be the MOH, but they had a falling out. Basically, the bride would always call her sister ranting about her fiancé every time they would fight, which caused the sister to form a pretty negative opinion of him. Sister lives across several states away and doesn't see everything that goes on here. Her mind jumped right to abuse, and she told the bride if she marries him, she's not coming to the wedding. Now here's the thing. Their relationship isn't perfect. They are young. They went through a lot very quickly and very young, getting engaged, unexpected pregnancy, moving in together, all happened very fast. They fought a lot. I had my concerns at first, but after spending a lot more time with them, I saw how much they genuinely loved each other, parented their son together well, and were working towards a future together. The bride and I have been close friends for so much of our lives. She is like family to me. I care for her deeply. When she asked me to step in as MOH, I said yes for those reasons. Cut to today, the wedding day. Everything was going well. Groom was getting emotional when they did their private vows, and before walking down the aisle, he was still wiping tears. It warmed my heart. Looking back now, I wonder what the heck was going through his head, not sure they were tears of joy. As the night went on, the bride mingled and danced with her family. She had so much family that traveled from many states away to be here, and she wanted to be a good hostess to them. The groom was usually off talking with his own family when she was doing this, but for the most part they stayed together. They sat together, ate together, danced to a few songs, played the shoe game, then they were mingling separately with their families. Didn't think that was a big deal, as this is often how receptions go with so many people there pulling you in opposite directions. At one point they both went inside the venue. Reception was outside, for a while, and then she came out alone. She continued to chat with family, and then after a little bit realized he was nowhere to be found. After a while of searching, we found him wandering around outside, going for a walk. Bride was pretty distraught at this point. I will add that the groom did have a good amount to drink during the party. Apparently, when they went inside the venue, he was angry at her for not spending enough time with him during the party and said they were hardly together the whole night. Once he got back from his little walk, they were just arguing inside their room, I guess. At this point, a lot of guests were leaving, and the ones left, me, my husband, the rest of the wedding party, and their immediate families, didn't really know what to do. We were supposed to do a big send-off for them, so we were just kind of waiting for that. We packed up all the stuff, broke down all the tables and chairs, loaded it in cars, and just waited. Me and the other bridesmaids pulled her aside to talk to her, but she was pretty deflated at this point. Apparently, the groom had taken his ring off and told her he wasn't sure he wanted to be married to her. At their wedding. Mind you, they've been living together for 3 years. They share a child. They've been dating since 2018. Nothing about this was rushed other than maybe their ages. They're quite young. But I never thought of them as immature until this stunt he pulled at their wedding. Over not spending enough time together at the reception. Like, sorry, why not just not leave her side then? I just don't understand at all. We finally decided to just load their stuff in their car and tell them it's all loaded and they should probably go ahead and go to get some sleep before their flight tomorrow. At the car we hugged goodbye, and I left to come home. This girl is one of my absolute best friends. I hate that her beautiful wedding was ruined by her husband being petty and stubborn. She was in tears and distraught on her own wedding day. It's just awful. I don't really know where to go from here, if this is at all normal and something they will get past, or if this is more serious. I genuinely am rooting for them, but this whole situation just has me sitting in my car feeling confused and worried for my friend. They're leaving for their honeymoon tomorrow. Don't feel like it's an appropriate time to reach out and try to talk to her about all of this. Any advice is appreciated, I guess. I'm thinking I check in via text a few times while they're traveling/on the honeymoon and make sure it's going okay, and make plans to see her when she gets back, and we can debrief everything then if she wants to get into it. Starting to think the sister might have been onto something. Relevant comments. Nightwoman cometh. Olo ph. Lots of problems here. 1. The sis was onto something. If the bride is constantly calling her with complaints/fights, the groom is not a good fit for her. 2. The groom was drunk. This took his feelings from a 3. Hey, can we spend the rest of the reception together? To a 10. You are dead to me because you are ditching me at our wedding night for totally reasonable reasons. 3. Sounds like this wedding spat was just a representation of chronic issues between them. If this relationship is going to last, they need to see a therapist. This is beyond your aid, unfortunately. Personally, I wouldn't text or say anything today or tomorrow. She is probably distraught. They need to work out some things on their honeymoon. Maybe check in with her when she's back, or she'll reach out to you if she needs advice. That's what I would want anyways, but you know her best. Warren Finn. Literally this. I think when you said the sister doesn't see everything that goes on/I do. You're
Off.
by a lot. You're seeing the smoke show. The sister is hearing about the reality. OP. CL add a little context here though. I grew up with the bride, and besides her sister, I'm probably the only friend she has that is her friend. I did not know her husband before they got together, and still didn't know him super well before she got pregnant. Her other friends are all extensions of him somehow, his siblings and in-laws, his friends' girlfriends. I feel like a lot of the issue is that she needs more people to actually talk to. Her sister will always take her side. His family will always take his side and shrug things off, as that's just how he is. I've just tried my best to be somewhat of a Switzerland presence for her. She knows I support her, but in that I also support her relationship, and I know marriage is hard, especially with kids. So I try to support them both. Legitimate_cat3435. I have so many questions, just trying to understand the dynamics of this group. 1. In what scenario did she not grow up in the same house as her sister? 2. What were his parents doing at the reception, and were they aware of his hissy fit? 3. Is it safe to assume that his parents were still there at the end? 4. What were her parents doing at the end? 5. Who had their child? OP. 1. Half-sisters through adoption by the dad. 2. His parents sat at their own table and didn't seem to care about mingling with her family, but I don't want to jump to conclusions as to why. 3. His parents were still there at the end, and his dad looked really disappointed when helping us load their car. I pulled his mom aside and asked her to go talk to her son because she may be the only one he listens to right now. She did talk to him, and was the one who ended up getting him to come out of his room. What was said. 4. Her parents were helping clean up, and I don't think they knew the full extent of what was going on. They were still talking to guests. It wasn't until the next day when I talked to both of them that I realized they were not aware of what the groom said about being unsure about the marriage, taking his ring off, etc. They thought they had a little spat that got resolved quickly before they left. 5. Groom's mom had the baby most of the time, and towards the end of the night he fell asleep in the groom's sister's arms. He went home with the bride's parents that night cause they're watching him while they go on honeymoon. Update. It's been a week now and a lot of people asked for an update. Some people on my original post were very adamant this relationship was abusive, citing red flags, research evidence, and personal anecdotes that this story reminded you of. There were also several comments saying I was overreacting, the groom was just drunk, and they will probably be fine. I wanted to clarify some things from my original post. While my friend, the bride, does have her sister, she was the only child growing up in her house. In many ways, she truly is an only child. She is at least the only child of her mother. She already had a small circle, her family lives all over the country, and is not involved very much in her life. That was not the groom's doing. He did not isolate her. Secondly, I would like to clarify their ages because I didn't mention them in my last post. They started dating at 15, female, and 16, male, and got married at 21 and 22. Part of the reason I omitted it originally is because I didn't want people jumping to conclusions about their relationship because of their ages. There's a lot of stigma around getting married young, especially on Reddit. And I get it. The odds are stacked against you. That's why I decided to put their ages in now, because I realize it's important to understand they really do have so much growing and learning to do still. Now on to the update. It's pretty short. She Snapchatted me later that night after they got to their hotel and said as he began to sober up, he was realizing all that he ruined and was very apologetic. He realized they didn't get to do their last dance, their send-off, the bouquet and garter toss. She said he was crying. They talked it all out and she said it sucks that their wedding ended that way, but it was amazing up to that point, and the important thing is that they're married and going to spend the rest of their lives together. She said they're going to work past it and I asked how. Do you have a plan? Just want to be sure. She said they will work on their communication skills, and I once again recommended therapy. She said they'd talk about it and consider it. Then they were off on their honeymoon and seemed to be having a great time. I've checked in a bit when she has Snapchatted me some pics, and they're doing well. She knows she can always come to me, and she knows I'll support her no matter what. Right now I'm going to do everything I can to help uplift them as a couple and help them form some better communication habits. Her sister didn't support her choice to stay with him, and that's why sister is not in her life anymore. I don't want that. I will support her choice.
Period.
A few key takeaways. Be careful drinking on your wedding day. You don't need that much. The last thing you want is to get drunk on your wedding day and say/do something stupid as a result that you can't take back. One commenter put it really well. You may be able to overlook your partner's ugly parts now, but are you willing to let this be your life if they never change? I know there's a lot of people in this subreddit that are getting married, so I hope someone can learn something from this story.